Well, if you guys know anything about the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, it's that we have been looking for a wide receiver number two, and we've been aggressive with negotiations with some players, and we signed some guys as well. And we're still kind of looking for that. But this one right here, not on board with. Because for one thing, this strikes me strictly as a Mike Tomlin situation right here, just because of who it involves. And number two, the guy Juju Smith-Schuster is just kind of becoming irrelevant at this point, to the point to where like he's journeyman and he wouldn't even be number two on this team. So I'm gonna get into more of that in just a little bit. What's going on, everybody? I am Mac. Back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is down in the box below. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they made an interesting headline on Monday, to say the very least. I don't know if this has been confirmed, but it was at least put out there. It's that we are rumored to at least bring Juju Smith-Schuster in for questioning, or we could potentially bring him back because the New England Patriots don't see him as, quote, a fit because they have a, quote, different regime now that Bill Belichick is not their head coach anymore. And they're going, with Drake May as their quarterback for the next couple seasons at the very least. So they don't find a need for Juju Smith-Schuster. And the Steelers are one of the teams that could be landing him here. Yeah, here's my opinion of that. I don't want Juju here, man. I don't want him here. Mainly because he hasn't been relevant since like 2020. And if you remember, he had his chance with us back in 2019 to step up to the reins to be that number one receiver. Now, granted, 2019 wasn't completely his fault because Big Ben was out for pretty much the whole season due to his elbow injury that required surgery and required him to miss the rest of the season after week 2 against Seattle. But at the same time, Juju couldn't step up to the reins himself to take over that number one receiver role. Now, is it fair to compare him to a wide receiver like prime Antonio Brown? No, I don't think so. Because if you look at the reason why Juju had all those touchdowns and all those receiving yards from 2017 to 2018, is because he was the number two on this team while AB was being double covered by just about every other defense in the league, and that gave a lot more open space to Juju. But you look at this wide receiver core now for the Steelers, while it's talented and it has a lot of potential on the horizon, it's nowhere near combined to what Antonio Brown was. So that's the biggest reason that I don't want Juju on here, because I just don't think he's going to be as productive, and we're not going to get, 2017 to 2018 version of him, which in my opinion was peak Juju. So that's number one. Number two, he's reached journeyman status. I mean, after us, he went to Kansas City, where he was being used in Andy Reid's system properly, and he got that Super Bowl 56 title with the Kansas City Chiefs, but they knew that Juju was not going to be a long-term option for him. So they released him. New England picked him up, and he was like a no factor with the Patriots throughout much of the season. Of course, when the Patriots played us on my birthday last year, Juju had his best game as a Patriot. Of course, it would come against us, so go figure there. But other than that, Juju really hasn't been a factor for the Patriots. So as far as I'm concerned, the fact that he's going to be a potential free agent, it just shows me that he's just becoming a journeyman at this point, and we don't need another player like that. And then number three, he has injury problems as well. So he dealt with a lot of knee injuries, and, it's just, again, something that we just don't need. So basically, unless he can stay healthy and unless he can somehow return to 2017 or 2018 form, then, you can't rely on him to stay healthy for a full 17-game season. I just don't think it's worth the investment because it just doesn't serve us in that way. You're looking at a guy who's maxed out, a guy who had his best season 7 years ago. He doesn't really provide much of an upside. And it's really not much of an upgrade over the guys that we did get or the guys that we already have. Like we got Quez Watkins, we drafted Roman Wilson, we got Van Jefferson. We were in talks with Brandon Ayuk. We were in talks with Tyler Boyd. Even Scotty Miller. I don't even think he's an upgrade over Scotty Miller at this point. Basically, if you put Juju on this receiving core, he's probably going to be a number 4 receiver at best on this team. We need a valuable number 2 wide receiver, someone who can complement George Pickens. Because the way that I see it, George Pickens is our number 1 receiver. Okay. Roman Wilson has that potential. Van Jefferson has that potential, but we don't know if they're fully ready to be that solid number 2. And, Juju Smith-Schuster, while he was a number 2 for us for quite some time, I just don't think right now he's capable of being that number 2 receiver. You know what I mean? I mean, let's face it. Maybe 3 years ago, I would be like, yeah, Juju can be a decent number 2 receiver for us. He has experience playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has a little bit of a leadership role, but seeing now that he's going to be potentially released by 2 teams, the way I see it, after he became a distraction for us in 2020, I just don't want that guy here. I really don't. I just don't think he serves much of a purpose here. So, no, guys. Hard pass on Juju for me. Don't want him here. But let me know what you guys think. And this is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.